I'll be honest here. This was a game that was one of my main motivations for starting this miniature series of sequels that underwhelmed, because when I thought back to most of the sequels that I played that kinda let me down, this was the one that stole the show. Not because I had such high expectations, but this represents the most complete and utter failure to follow up what was a pretty decent game in any kind of meaningful manner whatsoever. Alright, a bit of history for those who might not know anything about the Crackdown series. It's a very old series that debuted not too long after the launch of the Xbox 360. It features an open world setting with kind of cel-shaded graphics, I think that's the right term for it, and took the idea of using sort of Grand Theft Auto type things, except instead of playing as thugs, you play as the actual law enforcement, and you have superpowers, like the ability to pick up and throw cars, jump over tall buildings, leap from rooftop to rooftop like the Matrix. It was simple enough, but at the time it seemed really epic and cool. Now, unlike usually, I'm not going to go into the storyline because there's really not much to say about it. It's not good enough to even mention. The whole point of Crackdown was the actual gameplay. That was the driving force. The story was just there because it kind of had to be there. You begin the game as a fairly low-level character, basic skills, nothing too extreme, but the more you do certain things, such as shooting a gun or driving a car or collecting orbs on rooftops, certain abilities you have will increase, and as they increase and your character grows stronger, you morph appearance and your character gradually gets bulkier and more intimidating looking, as if you drive a car enough, the specialty cars you drive would actually morph and take on different forms as you drove them to signify that you're a better driver now and you have a higher skill because your car is now morphing to fit your new skill set. It gave a small sense of accomplishment, those little touches of your character getting bigger, your car changing. It's cool stuff, and Crackdown also represents one of the only times when I've actually enjoyed playing multiplayer. It was co-op only, and it was pretty fun to go around with another person and just get into trouble and blow stuff up and have a good time. Kicking each other off rooftops, was endlessly entertaining. But then we get to Crackdown 2, which was released several years later. I think it was around 2010, 2011. I'm not exactly sure on the date. I don't actually have the game box anymore. Honestly, I don't even know what I'm doing here with this anymore because I can't really say too much that hasn't been said already. But I'm going to do it anyway. This is not a sequel. This may as well have just been DLC for Crackdown called Crackdown, the Freak Edition, because it takes place in the exact same city, and very little has changed gameplay-wise. Instead of taking on gang members, you're now taking on mutated zombie creatures that sprung up somehow after the end of the last game, and instead of just taking out gang lords to weaken defenses for bigger gang lords, you're just turning on beacons that kill zombies. And almost nothing has been advanced or improved upon. It's all the same stuff. Even the customization of your character is pretty much gone. Like, every character now looks the same. They have like a full-bodied armored suit looking like something out of Halo, and then they do get bulkier as you level up, but little touches like your character's car morphing whenever you get into it as you increase your driving skill, that's gone. And I don't get why they would take something like that out. Maybe they were just too lazy to animate it or whatever. I can only guess, but I'm assuming that's the case. Considering everything else about this game seems remarkably half-assed, that seems accurate. Crackdown 2 holds a very unique place in my gaming experience. It's one of the only games I can remember buying and finishing the single-player campaign, and then within a day, I was taking it back to GameStop, and I almost wanted to ask for an exchange or my money back because I was so dissatisfied with the experience. That's the kind of disappointment I felt. I didn't have high expectations that Crackdown 2 would revolutionize the game industry. I just felt like they would have put more effort into it to see where they could go from here instead of just retreading the same thing but with a palette swap of enemies. That's the biggest disappointment is they put no effort into this. The one single thing they did try at least to improve was the multiplayer aspect of it by adding multiple players and deathmatch modes, and a little minigame called Rocket Tag, which is something that I think a lot of people stumbled up onto accidentally while playing co-op in the original. The agency building, which was the tallest building in the game, while playing with my co-op partner, one of us would stand on a roof and one of us would climb the building, and the one standing on the roof would shoot rockets at the one climbing the building in the hopes of not allowing them to reach the top of it. It actually made for quite a bit of redundantly stupid fun, and I'm guessing that the developers kind of picked up on this and decided to put a similar mode in the sequel, which is nice, but I was never able to enjoy the Crackdown 2 multiplayer, in part because I was so dissatisfied I couldn't get this game out of my lair fast enough, and partly because, well, at the time the servers weren't really all that good and there was a lot of lag and chopping, and as far as I could tell, you were in a very enclosed environment during death matches, and I had a lot more fun just roaming the city in co-op than being in a claustrophobic environment, so I never really got a chance to get into the multiplayer. Maybe it's better than I thought it was. Maybe there's more to it that I just didn't get a chance to experience, but somehow I doubt it. Final verdict, is Crackdown 2 a terrible game? No, by no means. It's just about as good, fundamentally as good as the original, but that's sort of the problem. You could just go buy the original for like $3 or $4 and probably have a much better experience at the end of the day. But all negativity aside, I would really like to see the Crackdown series continue. I would just hope that in the future, if it does go forward from here, the developers will actually take it off the automated assembly line and actually build a better game. Actually pretend for 4 seconds you give a damn about the product you're making and not just rushing it out the door to make a load of cash. Though to be fair, they probably couldn't get away with doing that again. Reviews for Crackdown 2 were less than flattering, to the point to where I've heard neither hide nor hair of the series since 2, and that's been a couple of years ago, so maybe this is the end of Crackdown. If so, it's no major loss. There are games like Prototype and Infamous, or even Saints Row 4 that are doing the Crackdown thing just about as good as they did, if not a little bit better. That's pretty much all I've got to say. This has been Judgespektre. I'm out.
When God is gone and the devil takes hold, oh, have mercy on your soul. Satisfies me but your